Rick Hoffman, you've had a fantastic season 4 in Suits on USA. Let's talk about the season finale because that's what everybody wants to talk about. Those confrontations that Louis had with his colleagues, especially Donna and Jessica, were really heartbreaking. And I'd like to know what your reaction was to when you first saw the script for that episode.
Well, like every script that I've read with this job, it's usually heart-wrenching what happens to this guy. And half the things, or more than half the things he does, I, as an actor, read and just I cringe because he continuously steps on his own feet and just gets himself into trouble. He doesn't really. He just doesn't have to. But this particular story, how he finds out and how he retaliates, or at least attempts to retaliate, I feel is completely just. These are friendships that he has, he loves the very few friends he has. Obviously, he talks about it continuously throughout the show about friends and can we be friends and are you my friend. And when he finally finds out this news about Mike, I think he has, it's 4 years in the, well, even though the show doesn't take place throughout the 4 years, it's a little shorter than that. But for a long period of time, he feels like everything that he's known around him, it's like the Truman Show for him. And think about the humiliation he must feel and the rage. So those last two scenes, the way it was so brilliantly written by Aaron and the writers, it was a great combination as far as an acting challenge. And I have to say, not often, but for this particular episode, I was very proud of how it came out and how it seemed with people who have watched the show, they seemed very satisfied that Louis is finally getting a little bit of what he deserves, which is just so bizarre.
Yeah, I know. And like we've seen a lot of sides of Louis, but those two last scenes, I mean, I've never really seen that from you before. It really took me back. I was really quite shocked that he went there. And I always wonder with actors, how do you prepare for that level? Because it really, I mean, you really had to let it all out. There were years of anger and frustration, obviously, that Louis has felt, but I mean, that it was really something, and I wonder how you prepare for that and get in the mindset to kind of let it all out in those types of scenes.
Thanks, and it's a good question. Because once again, when reading these scripts, the things that they have, they ask for me to do. I'm always like freaking out within those 8 shooting. Because it's you don't really know on the day. You really want to try to get it right and try to make him as human as possible. And during those in those scenes, it called for a lot. And I think part of it, you sort of you just whatever is happening at the time, whether it me being completely. As an actor, completely freaked out and nervous, you use that energy, but this was a little more straightforward, and because it was time for him to just lash and completely just lace into these people who have completely, as you know, have admitted that they were hypocrites and liars, and so it was a very direct, for him to just completely throw anything that he's ever felt, where all trust and all any of the love that he has felt is gone. So what happens when you pretty much you just hit bottom, and whatever comes out. So it was this primal these little bits of primal scream rage fits that he has that are, like a child who it was very childlike.
Yeah.
I want you to tell me that you're a liar, and I want you to tell me you didn't mean what you said, and then I want you to tell me you're sorry. These are very simple, it is very childlike.
Very
So
childlike. Yeah, that's really. I never thought of it that way, and I felt it was really cathartic following Lewis from the beginning of season one, but just especially this particular season, season four. It was really cathartic to just let him let it out. And obviously, anybody who watches the show knows that what fundamentally drives this guy is his just desire for approval and acceptance and respect.
yeah.
How does that drive you daily when you're playing this guy? Like, is that always in the back of your mind when you're playing, just general scenes day to day?
Um, no, it's really just it's because he's so he doesn't really plan ahead. He just thinks he just is a walking emotion. So it's whatever he's dealing with that's right in front of him. That's usually how he handles things. So it's if he could so easily be distracted. I mean, let's face it. I mean, I'm not sure if you saw the season before, but he
Yeah.
completely messed up a multi was it $1 million deal because of a
Yeah.
cat.
Yeah, the cat story arc was great.
So as crazy as that sounds, it's like there are people out there that get distracted like that because of their own deep insecurities and fears of what people think of them. You really, as far as how I'm approaching it, it's really just based on whatever whatever scenario is happening at the moment. But that said, the scenes that you're talking about at the end of This Is Rome was something that that had obviously culminated over a long period of time. So,
Yeah.
but
And
yeah,
sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
no. I'm
So, and the other thing that occurs to me when I'm watching it is obviously the dynamic between Harvey, played by Gabriel, and your character, Lewis, and how critical that is to the show and to these two guys. And talk us through, for people who aren't totally familiar with this dynamic that you have with Harvey.
Well, here. What's really interesting is we're not to give too much away, but these back six, there's a lot of answers about
Oh,
that.
good. Great.
Writers did another amazing job at handling, let's just say, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that, but let's just say that there is an episode that is based on how Lewis and Harvey started.
Really fantastic. Because we need to see this because there's so much animosity, and also I can't even describe it. That's why I'm trying to just draw it out of you, because I can't quite pinpoint what it is about Harvey that just gets Lewis so not even fired up, but it drives so much of what he does.
Yes. Well, it's
Um,
like at one point, and I'm not sure if anybody catches this all, these little small details that the writer's throwing, but Harvey, even though it's in that episode, he's in the midst of, you think he's done with Lewis, but then he talks to Robert Zane and says, "Look, he's my family." Harvey refers to Lewis as a brother.
yeah.
You often hear these things. It's this dysfunctional, like insanely hyper dysfunctional family. Where as much as you say these things and you feel this way about a family member, you're locked in with them, for God, forever, I guess, in your work life or in your family life, and you have, I guess, you have to make do. So something happens in years back, 6 years back actually, when they're first sort of starting out together, that sort of generates this whole I want what he has, and some sort of backstabbing that happens. I don't want to get into too much detail, but it's really interesting. I was interested for sure how the writers dealt with that story.
Oh,
And then,
great. Well,
yeah. So anyway,
we're looking forward to that, absolutely. Now, we obviously the season ended on the Pearson Spector Lit question mark, and I
yeah,
know you can't go into that in too much detail, but obviously we're going to get some resolution to that particular issue, correct?
you will, you
Okay,
will,
good.
for sure. Yep, they go head on, the writers, right away. It's not like, there's no dilly dallying.
Good.
Uh,
That's good. The writers of Suits don't generally do much dilly-dallying, which is why it's so popular. What do you think it is about Suits that makes the fans so passionate? Because it really, I mean, the fans of this show are kind of bananas. People who love Suits really, really love Suits. Why
it's
is
so
that?
it's so nice to be able to say that for the first time, of being a part of a show where it actually lasts more than a season, and people start to grow, the fan base grows, and it's basically, I think, the six characters that people, they're all so different, and people identify with one or maybe more at times, because I think they're real characters that or real types of people that are either in someone's workplace, in someone's, which I can't believe, in someone's high school, because young people are watching this show, um, and and I think people like to see what they know and what they can relate to. Um, it's therapeutic in a way, and I think the way the writers, write these storylines, they make it look fun. This could now be, I mean, obviously it won't be, but this could be about fly fishing. And as long as these characters are around, people seem to enjoy watching them. So, I mean, obviously that show would go right down the tubes, a show about, but I think you know what I mean. It's once you get hooked on to the actual, these dynamic characters, I think you're in good shape as far as generating some form of a base of fans.
Yeah,
I think that's
I
why
think that's a
people
really
show.
I think that's a really good point. It is the characters that people really latch onto, and everyone has their favorites and, well, the ones that they don't particularly like, and that's all part of it, I suppose.
Oh
But
yeah, I mean that's the key, and it's really also, it's something that you really can't control. It's really a
no,
matter of putting six people together, and you see if there's chemistry, and if there is, great, and if there isn't, unfortunately. But that's the way, with any movie, with any television show, or anything else that's in the creative field, it has to do with a multiple, like alignment of things that have to line up the right way in order for it to be successful.
yeah, and I've talked about this with many actors over the years because a lot of most actors have to really toil and work really hard over many, like a lot of professionals, until they finally hit pay dirt and get that role that sees them through a few seasons of a successful TV show. You had the same journey. How important is it for you to actually be finally hitting your stride in a show that people are watching? And now that USA is lining up for awards consideration, which is why we're talking, we're an awards website, and we've got Golden Globes and SAGs coming up, and USA are quite rightly saying we need to pay attention to Suits because we think it's one of the best shows on TV, and Rick Hoffman, has given awards-worthy performance. All that stuff is so different to what it would have been like when you're starting as an actor and you're just trying to get a role.
Never,
How different is it now?
no, never. Never in a million years would I have thought that I'm even having a conversation on goldderby.com or with anyone discussing this type of subject, which I feel is just, it's just gravy. I mean, look, for an actor to let alone get a pilot, and then on top of the pilot, which is a lottery ticket in itself, then finding another lottery ticket by the pilot getting picked up, and then getting another lottery ticket by the show actually having fans, or at least somewhat of a base to keep it on the air, and now going in on its fifth season, where I'm having a conversation with you about performances, and let's just say that if I'm not enjoying this right now, someone better smack me in the face and send me on my way.
Yeah.
This is it's unheard of.
Mm.
It's such a, it's the acknowledgement in itself is so nice. And you know what? Look, I worked my ass off for a very long time, so why not? I'll take it. I'll take it.
Absolutely. I think we're all in the same boat. You work your ass off, and you should reap the reward when it finally arrives.
Yeah.
Um, but you know,
And
you're in a
I mean, I'm not kidding. Like, this is an award in itself. I tell my fiance, like, this is, no, because it's like, how nice is it to have people such as yourself or whoever else I'm meeting here in Los Angeles to have, to talk to these committees. It's like a dream just for people to acknowledge your performance. It's phenomenal.
yeah.
And it's enough. It's plenty. So,
Yeah. I know what you mean, but you're in a really different position now because when Suits started, Lewis was really, in my view, excuse me, in my view, he was really not the villain of the show, but he was, he was pretty nasty and to me, even slightly one-dimensional because we hadn't really gotten to know him yet and the writers didn't have the opportunity to flesh him out. And you've
right.
come such a long way. Tell us, in your mind, how you think Lewis, your character, is different to what he was like when he was terrorizing junior associates in season 1.
Well, yeah. I mean, he was walking around sort of, just in douche mode.
Yeah,
And
trench mode. That's good.
um, and I think all Aaron Korsh wanted, I think, as well as the other writers, is for the show to have some legs. You're able to start to really once you give an audience, which obviously was Harvey, Mike, which was their relationship, which I thought the writers did a very, very smart job in letting that play itself for the first season, and everyone else having their, it sort of giving the idea of where everyone else stands, but slowly peppering in the other characters. You let it evolve, and then you let these people show their human sides very slowly. And I think what happened with Lewis, with just an extra amount of time, you get to see the other sides of these people. And once you do, you can see these relationships play out, like Lewis Donna, Harvey Rachel. Like
Yeah.
it just needs its time. I think all shows are capable of that. I think it just, unfortunately, some of them don't last too long. This one is, and I think the writers are taking full advantage. Lewis now has become a very multi-dimensional character that people used to hate, and now they start to see why he is or was such a douche, and they're actually now siding with him, which is amazing to me.
And so were you getting a lot of feedback in the beginning about like really negative stuff just walking around Toronto? Were people telling you how much they hated Lewis, and now is it different? Are people like wanting to come up to you and say, "Oh, I really feel for him now"?
Yes, it's unbelievable. It's there are some mean people out there, man.
Yeah, there's some pieces of work.
But like on a whole other, like I would say to my friends, or I'd say to even like some of my coworkers, like, can you believe like this person just wished me to die of cancer, and they think Lewis is bad.
Yeah.
Look at yourself, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, like they people really because I think he as all the characters remind them of someone they know, and it hits a chord. And
totally
so
right.
sort of now the difference is, oh my God, like anywhere you go, really, it's very positive, and it's thrilling. It's thrilling. I mean, some of the places that it happens is hilarious. Like, if I've just woken up and I'm there, get out, to a Starbucks.
Yeah.
Like,
seriously, don't talk to me. I need my caffeine, and then you can give me feedback about the show.
Well, it's great. It's great, except you kind of look like you're you still have like your marks from sleep, and people are like, can I take a picture?
Not so much. Yeah, I totally get that. And do you ever get feedback from lawyers, especially about how the show portrays that world?
Yes. Yes, and they honestly, the ones who they have good senses of humor about it. They know that obviously things don't get solved that quickly, but they really do enjoy it, I think. And the comment they have is that they love the fact that it just never goes to trial, and it shows
Yeah.
all the behind the trial scenes of what goes on. And that's something I think they really appreciate, because that way you get to see more of, look, and don't get me wrong, a lot of those trial-based shows work.
Mm.
This just happens to be a law show that isn't interested in that part of the law. It's really about the dealings and what goes on behind. And for some reason, the writers have really tapped into not putting people to sleep with the boring detail, but giving enough that it somehow just sort of intertwines with the character development. And it's I'd like to see a bunch of other writers try to do something that Aaron Korsh has created. It's not that easy. They have a very hard job they put in front of them every season.
Yeah, and that's what they need to get credit for that, because there's a lot of legal shows on TV and have been over the years. But I tell you, this show, it's not even really the legal stuff's the context. This is about the workplace, and it's about office culture, and it's about a lot of things. A lot of us who aren't working in Hollywood or Toronto or wherever can relate to, and that's why everyone that I know that watches the show just taps into that, because we can all relate to. Anyone who works in an office will relate to that stuff, and so I think that's the key. And then obviously it's following the characters that we've grown to love or hate. But I think you're totally on the money there. So yeah. So now we have 6 episodes to come,
Right.
which are going to wrap up all these really interesting storylines that we've seen over the last 10.
Yeah.
And you've given us a taste, but do we have anything else to look forward to, or is it just going to be more of wrapping up the journey that Louis has been on?
Well, you say wrapping up, but the thing is now it's just begun.
Yeah.
Because you're really dealing with some serious in-house. Can I curse? I can't curse.
You can curse as much as you like. Yeah, absolutely, totally.
Fucked up politics that are coming for this story. It's now no longer the attack from outside the firm, but what's going to happen inside the firm, and it opens up a whole different type of world for the 6 characters and others as well that people have begun to love, such as, like, DB Woodside's character Jeff Malone, and with Katrina, Amanda Scholl's character, and it's just a whole sort of different. It's the same show. It's just going to be looking at it now from a whole other perspective of how the 6 people are going to handle the hurricane that Louis Litt is now starting to. Because I don't want to give anything away. As far as we don't know if he's going to be a part of the firm or he's going to, because now he's got something over them which is going to cause, jail time.
Yeah, so it's pretty serious.
Yeah. So there's nothing wrapped up.
Oh, that's good. Now, does that mean as well, because Louis has been a comic relief on in many episodes as well? Do you think we'll ever get back to that aspect of the character, or are we just going to kind of stay in this moment now that we've that the writers have brought us to?
Somehow, with all the heaviness that's happening, the writers have found a way to continue to make this guy just completely this. I think, look, what makes him this heavy character because of his lunacy also makes him have some of the funniest moments because of his lunacy, and that hasn't left him. It's just, let's just put it this way. I would imagine there's going to be a similar moment, like he told Jeff Malone that he likes to eat cock for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Coming the audience's way eventually. Good.
We're hoping and praying. That's the stuff that we love as well. So the fingers crossed. But Rick, good luck for the back end of this season, or however you want to characterize it. And also, we're coming up to awards season, and we wish you all the best for that particular journey, because it will be a lot of fun.
Oh, thank you. Either way, this is good enough. We can stop right here, and I've had a great time. So thank you, by the way, for even asking me to do this. It's been a privilege.